What's cracking, everybody, and welcome to episode 207 of the Good Kraken podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ernell Pearson, alongside the queen of bitchin' herself, Genesee Gabrielle. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. You got another dum-dum.
I got another dum-dum.
just out here sucker popping it up, you know what I'm saying? So when you got that big bag, did you know you were gonna go through them quickly, or was it
Yeah, I did. It was intentional because, and I specifically got the bag of only bubblegum dum-dums because it's the superior flavor. And I knew that if I got a regular bag of dum-dums, I was just going to eat all the bubblegum ones and then be disappointed. So.
You don't like the bubblegum dum-dums?
No, those are my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I got exclusively bubblegum.
Okay, yeah, bubblegum is
pretty
fucking good.
But then I'd have
I don't like the bubblegum
flavor.
ones.
Fuck you,
okay,
Garrett.
I'll take them for you.
Hey, that's more for you guys.
It is. Well, we'll take it. Why don't you like the bubblegum ones, Garrett?
I don't know. I don't like bubblegum as a flavor. I don't know. I just can't get behind it.
Not even on snow cones?
Nope. Nuh-uh.
That's
I never.
That
I don't touch the bubble. Don't touch bubblegum.
I'm trying to get bubblegum Tootsie Rolls. I'm trying to get bubblegum cake, ice cream. You know what I'm saying? That, all that shit.
Yeah.
Bubblegum ice cream, especially. No, that's just my shit.
Oh my god! At the
Dude,
Black
hey,
Tap,
whoa! Don't threateningly point your dum dum at us. Oh my god!
Black Tap. Okay, if you've ever been to Black Tap, they don't have them around here, but they have them in Anaheim, and they're the ones who do those crazy fucking shakes that have all of the wild stuff on top of them. Yeah. They have a bubblegum shake that is out of this world. Has bubble gums around the rim. Oh man.
Garrick has exited the room.
Nope. Just knew that shit. Just hear so much bubble gum.
Well,
just so much bubble gum.
Just I'm glad I also have a bubble gum partner in you. But on the other hand, we also have the snacking saint himself, the king of snacks, the king of eating. Oh goddamn, baby. Garrick Bartholomew. Eater. What's that, Garrick?
I just got here. I mean, I literally from my fucking theater to your face holes. That was my morning. I literally woke up, I got ready to go, I went straight to the theater, I watched Renfield, came straight home, and now we're here.
I do love a Garrick in my face hole, that's for sure. You know what I'm saying? Just can't get enough of that. Nom nom nom. You know what I mean?
How was that again?
Yummy. Nom. Garrick, what'd you eat at the theater?
Ooh, so I'm always a double snacker. I always get two snacks because I am the king of.
Yes,
oh, by the way, did you notice that I changed my name on Twitter? Did you check that?
Yes, dude. I fucking love you so much. So you double snack.
I even added in my bio at the bottom that I was an Elden Ring boss.
Yes, baby. Let's go.
But no. So today we got some Sour Patch Kids Water Malone. Because that's one of my favorites. It's a comfort candy. And then cookie dough bites, frozen, because that's the only appropriate way to eat them. And then there was a new flavor of icy today that I hadn't seen before. So I tried that. It was strawberry hibiscus, and it was fucking delicious.
Oh, that sound fun. What the fuck can we gotten that in our theater, Genesee?
It was so good. It was great.
Can't wait for that bubblegum icy to come through. Let's go, Genesee.
Dude, Oregon gets the worst flavors for everything. We don't get the good soda flavors, not even in our stores.
Oregon strikes me as strictly when you go to the movie theater, they're yeah, we got ices and it's cherry, Coke, and blue.
Yeah, we're the vanilla.
I think they have
the
Coke
world.
one as well. They have the Coke icy as well, which is fucking.
Yeah, it's fucking vanilla.
Light years even worse than the other two as far as vanilla is concerned. Yeah, because it's not even vanilla Coke. It's not even good enough for that.
Yeah, just get a Coke.
I mean the theater. The theater at Mall 205 or is it? Is it? Gateway, is it, or is it Mall 2? It's Mall 205. The theater we have at Mall 205 has like the multi Coke machine where you can like tap the screen. Like,
Oh yeah, the Coke.
soda or
The Coke. What
whatever.
are they called? The Coke freestyles.
Yeah, which is like fine. Like that's all right for what it is, but they never like clean it. So like it always just like feels like I'm sticky when I'm getting my soda there.
It's always so, dude. I think that's just like part of the aesthetic of a movie theater. It's just sticky surfaces.
Just sticky. You know what I'm
Like
saying?
because it's not like they don't clean them because like I've watched them do it. Like, you know, as you're exiting the theater, like they're going through, and like and then you'll go to the theater next time and it's fucking. As you're walking up the steps to take your seat, and you're just like, nothing changes, right?
See, that's why we like the Clackamas theater so much, because all that shit
Clackamas
carpeted.
isn't like that.
Carpeted.
Yeah.
Don't even have to worry about
I
it.
mean, I wouldn't want to take a black light to that.
I'm about to say I wouldn't
Nope.
turn the lights on.
Never,
because
ever,
it's
ever.
probably hella stains, but
Disgusting, dude. Yeah, I Genesee could tell you I'm a snacker at movie theaters, because I like when I go to movies, I don't eat dinner. Like that is my dinner. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get
do you get like the snacks like nachos or something bigger?
Sometimes. So what? Like last night, for example, I Jag Cardboard King actually came out with us. We got a popcorn to share. I got a glizzy.
Nice.
Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Get that glizzy in my mouth. And then I've been on a thing lately where I've been having like a really big like dibs kick the past few times. So I've been getting like a little dibs container. And, like,
hey, underrated, anything frozen in my mind is like an underrated movie theater snack.
God damn,
like,
baby.
and they're just like, but it's gonna melt, and I'm just like, look, just fucking leave
my
it closed, set it on the armrest, chill for your 15 minutes, sip you on your drink. That ice cream sandwich will still be good. I fucking promise you, dude. I get because every once in a while I get like the M&M's ones, or the dibs with like the crunchies in them.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yes.
When I lived in California, in Southern California specifically, at the AMC, I don't know if they still have it anymore, but like way back then when I was a teenager, they had mint dibs. So it was like mint ice cream covered in the little chocolate shell.
Fuck me.
Oh, I haven't seen
I
those.
want that. I've never had that in my mouth before.
Yeah, we
What
just
the
got the
fuck?
regular ass ones.
Yeah, like the crunch dibs are like the spiciest it really gets for us. Like that's dude.
Yeah, mint dips hit different.
God damn.
No, really.
That sounds
in my fucking
delicious.
life. Yeah. I typically get like one like package of like candy, and usually it's one of the ropes. Like I like ropes, or I like licorice. Licorice is like my thing for theaters too.
Please tell me this. Like, I just think I unlocked a core memory talking about movie theater snacks. I really hope this shit actually exists. Were Butterfinger BBs a real fucking product?
Yeah.
Was that was that a real thing
I'm
that
pretty
you
sure
could get
they
at
were.
movie theaters?
Yeah, let's
because
confirm.
because I remember it now, and now I'm wondering if it was just something I saw in a fucking cartoon.
100% Butterfinger BBs.
Butterfingers that were like the
little round ones. You could only get them at like movie theaters and shit. They were like,
Oh, shit, I don't think I've seen those.
Yep.
Right, they're not a thing anymore, right?
No, not anymore. They were a thing in the 90s, and then they stopped production on them. So they replaced them with Butterfinger Bites. It's kind of what they were aiming for there.
You know, for
Yeah,
all
but
of
those
shit,
suck dick, dude. They get all stuck together. They're fat little squares, and there's no plastic in there, so they melt to the box and then to themselves. I've had them. They're trash.
Well, Garrick, to back up your speaking on the frozen snack thing, Jag in chat here says I also had sour worms in a frozen Snickers bar. Literally 15 minutes in, it was just right timing, and 100%.
That's what I'm saying.
Those dibs go crazy. I get a little bit of popcorn in me, get through the trailers, get through like the opening part of the movie, and then I'm like, oh, dibby, and I just
once that title screen starts rolling, you open the frozen snack. It's time to go.
Hell yeah, baby. Frozen snacks are it. Just like you guys at home are it. Because today, this is the Good Kraken Podcast. Your choice for all the nerdy video game and pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you want to hear live. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. If you're on this wave, you can head on over to our Discord channel where you can submit questions and topics to the show, get exclusive post-show content, and soon have early access to episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services across the digital sea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett. But if you've emptied your pockets of the latest and greatest in entertainment, that is totally fine. You can watch us record this show live right here at twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show. If you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. DJ, tell him. He's on here. Prime Gaming, there we go. And we would love for you to give that to us to help keep us pushing content out for all of you listening or watching at home. What's up, Gary?
You need to have him record a drop so that when he's not
I
here,
know,
he
I
can just be
need- I
like,
can hit the
on the
button.
Steam Deck, be like, Prime Gaming.
DJ, I hope you're hearing this, dog. We got some homework for you. But you can also support us by going to our YouTube channel, clicking that beautiful bell and big red button, or by subscribing to our podcast channel by searching Good Kraken with an exclamation mark and leaving a review there.
Review.
Genesa!
Yes.
We have some captain's order, my love. Guys, the newest episode of The Shipwreck Show is now live. It is episode 69. Nice. That's all I really have to tell you there. It is episode 69, and it's us. So please.
There's some energy.
Go dude, this is like one of our best shipwrecks we've had in a while, to be completely honest.
I loved it.
We were on like some major crackhead energy on we don't need to talk about it. Guys, please check that out. It is a fun one you do not want to miss. But also to let you guys another reminder here, next week is going to be another weird week for the month of April. We are not doing any content next Thursday, and Shipwreck Show will be on Wednesday instead. We'll be filling you guys in on the rest of this week, but that's kind of the weird move around we had to make for next week in order for us to be able to handle going and seeing Evil Dead Rise next week. So guys, please tune in, hang out with us again. Follow up with us at the end of our episodes. Check out our Discord. We have our weekly schedules there for you guys. So Garrett, could you please tell the people at home what we're doing next?
Absolutely. You better protect your fucking, because we're headed to the gallows.
Protect your neck. Guys, for the gallows today, we are talking our spoiler-free review of Renfield. Renfield released April 14th, 2023, directed by Chris McKay and written by Robert Kirkman. Jesus Christ, didn't even know that was a thing until we hit the credits.
Me either, dude.
And then me and Jack were like, that's why. Like,
There we go. Okay.
Totally makes sense. A budget of $65 million and a box office domestically of only $3.1 million. And that's because they haven't released it overseas yet. And a runtime of an hour and 33 minutes. So a thing that I'm wanting to add to our movie reviews going forward is something that we call the Bechdel test. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but the Bechdel test is a test that measures the representation of women in film and other fiction. The test asks whether a work features at least two women who talk to each other about something other than a man for more than 1 minute of screen time. So it's something I wanted to do to kind of like add a little bit of levity here, because obviously something we care about is diversity in the content that we talk about, and not fucking hating women. So so the real question is we're going to be doing for every movie that we review is briefly seeing if it passes the Bechdel test. Does Renfield? Arguably
No.
is the answer. So the only exception to this is whether or not we want to count their dad as talking about a man, because they're again, spoiler free here, but there's a scene where we have two women characters that are sisters that are speaking about their father, and I don't know if we want do we want to count that as speaking about a man here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know we were going to do that. In that sense
that's
of like,
still their dad. Their dad.
Yeah, no,
It's a man.
And all protest for their dad's a man. Like it still comes up, like especially because that was actually the driving force of a couple of their conversations.
sure,
Either
sure.
their dad or they were talking about Renfield.
Yeah.
Or they were talking about
I think it's interesting just because like this is a good like sort of like scope, I think, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of movies. I was actually going to mention there's a lot of movies that fail this.
A lot of movies that fail this, but there's also a lot of movies that
I think
pass
it's
it.
that pass it too, and I think it's interesting. Does like are like on the curators of the whoever like created this test, do they have specifications on whether like if a father figure counts? Like, do they?
Amanda Bechdel, has not been very clear, because I think she was directing it as any man counts as a man in this situation.
Okay.
Which in this
Also,
case,
like, why wouldn't
I
your
mean,
dad
I figured
count?
it would. I figured it would too. But I am curious about to see if, like, for some clarity there, like, if some were, like us were to use it continually, like,
so because
give it a.
because the one scene that I had in my head from this, in which I was like, maybe, is the pen scene. And she's like, "Oh, please get this tested," because there is time there where they're not really talking about dad, and it is just kind of like,
That's true.
I know I've been an asshole and like blah blah blah, but like, please do this. You know what I mean? So I mean, arguably, that's why I say arguably. We'll say no for now because that is a very slim window. So yes, the Renfield does not pass the Bechdel test if you ask us. So we could have that conversation another day. But in the meantime, guys, some fun facts for you guys. Renfield syndrome, also known as clinical vampirism, is a rare psychiatric disorder where an individual has an intense fascination with drinking blood or believing themselves to be a vampire. This syndrome is named after the character R.M. Renfield from Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, who consumed live insects to obtain their life force. So you guys can kind of see where that moves into this movie here. Next up, even with a long history of turning down big movies that don't center on its character, Nicolas Cage agreed to play Dracula as it was a lifelong dream for him, and he loved the comedy parts in the script. It was going to lead perfectly into another fact later. But nextly, in an interview with Collider, director Chris McKay admitted that the film is actually intended to serve as a direct sequel to Todd Browning's Dracula in 1931. McKay had also attempted to have the film's trailers and poster refer to this fact, but this ultimately did not pan out. Which is fair. It probably wouldn't have done well if that was the case. But the little snippet we get in the beginning of the movie is fucking gold because that's straight out of Dracula. Like, they just really literally just changed out the actors. Fucking good. Nicolas Cage was involved in a couple of Dracula films that didn't get made. Dracula is one of 3 characters Nicolas Cage tried to play since starting his career. The other 2 are Captain Nemo and Superman. In 2018, Cage stated that he is too old for Superman. People already know about the unmade movie with Tim Burton. He is more focused on getting to play Captain Nemo and Dracula. But interestingly enough, Nicolas Cage actually voiced Superman in an animated movie. I think it was Justice League Go to the Movies or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but he did get a chance to actually play as Superman in a voiceover
Version of the character.
Yeah,
that's nice.
It's something, you know what I'm saying? But now he gets to knock off another thing off the bucket list, and goddamn. We'll get into it here in a second. Guys, let's go ahead and get into our top level thoughts of Renfield. Genesaw, go ahead.
I was absolutely flabbergasted at how amazing this movie was. Like, it was so good. This movie had no business being as good as it was. Like, it's I also feel like it's better because you know the feeling when you go into a movie and you're like, oh, this is going to be good, or it's at least going to be decent. Like, you might not have high hopes, but you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good movie. And then it's Morbius and it was terrible, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
This was the opposite of that. This, I had like very little expectations and I came out and I was just like, oh my God. I laughed the entire movie. I was engaged like the whole movie. It was very, very good. It was very, very fun. It was very campy, and I think that's what made it like so good, is that it was serious in the parts that it needed to be, but only just enough so that the whole movie wasn't a joke, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But it was very fun, very playful, and just honestly one of the most successful like allegories for abuse that I've seen in a really long time. It was really, really well done.
Very much so. I mean, the movie is, just to let kind of people loosely know, this movie is a allegory for leaving abusive relationships, and
100%.
having that be from this source material is so fucking funny. Continue,
So
Genesis.
funny. No, that's it. Like it shouldn't be funny. Like, we shouldn't be saying like leaving an abusive that is like a really abusive relationship. I mean, you can see it in the trailers. The dude's like the idea is that his relationship is with Dracula, right? And it's not
Yeah.
necessarily a romantic or sexual one, but it's a very long term, very committed, very abusive relationship with an actual monster. And so it's like super serious, but you're laughing the whole time. Which is just like, and you don't feel bad about it either. Like it's, I don't know, it was just a really masterful thing. I felt like, to take such a serious content material and like vampire material and make it fun and funny.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm excited to hear this. We're moving on to Garrick, the one that we haven't got a chance to really talk to at all about this.
Yeah.
Garrick, your top level thoughts of Renfield.
First off, I want to go see it again. I
I
really want to go see it again,
dude.
I haven't seen Nicholas Hoult in a piece of content in a while. I feel like, or at least not something that's really gotten like a lot of mainstream media attention. And there are some moments in this movie where like you really feel like that Warm Bodies vibe come through in like the best sorts of ways.
Yeah.
And just the way that he tends to portray his characters, and I adore Nicholas Hoult, and like he's got this wonderful ability to play like a very meek character that is also very, very charming, and I love that about him, and he does a great job doing that here in Renfield. Holy shit, I loved Nicolas Cage's performance as Dracula so much. I just love Nicolas Cage like a lot. That he is one of those people that I would love to see him in any role just to see what the fuck he would do, because it's never what you expect. But he somehow made this character feel really believable, but also be really, really funny in that unique Nick Cage brand, right? That only he can do.
Yeah.
And while also still having like this really sinister feel about his character. He feels villainous. He feels like a monster, and he feels very unstable.
Yeah. Very much so.
And like, it's like this was a great way to introduce Nicolas Cage as a character of Dracula, because I feel like if it would have been like a more serious film, he wouldn't have necessarily meshed, because it's Nick Cage at the end of the day, right? But everything about this movie was fucking great. There were some moments where like I laughed, and then I actually verbally said out loud something a character said at the same time they said it, and then it got echoed 3 more times, and I was pissing myself. Like I was just like, oh my fucking god! I was just like, they hit the nail on the head, and like I loved that like the characters had like such human reactions to shit. Like they didn't believe their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like, did you just cut that guy's arms off with a decorative dinner plate? He's just like, that was adrenaline. You're like, all right.
Dude.
Yeah, I really liked the cast of this film. It was really good. Ben Schwartz as fucking Ted Lobo was so fucking amazing.
Oh my god.
I'm so glad he's getting more roles,
for real,
because I only had ever seen him in Parks and Rec before this, and like Sonic did amazing things for him, and I'm just so glad that he's getting a little more screen time, because he's a really funny guy, and he got to be really, really funny in this.
Yeah,
so what do you think about that? I think you need to meet my mom.
So good, dude.
It was so fucking good. I love this movie. I really did. Down to everybody's character. I really, really loved Aquafina's character, Officer Quincy, as well. I kind of forgot she was in some of the trailers, because she didn't get as much screen time in the advertisements. It was more so just Nicholas Hoult and Dracula a lot in the trailers.
Yeah.
She was just in like a few small scenes, but she's really in this movie. She doesn't have a bit part. She's like his partner in crime, for lack of a better term, throughout the, like that co-protagonist. And god damn it, she's so funny. She's so funny.
Yeah,
like
dude.
I just the like her. She's got like I loved seeing her in Shang-Chi, and I'm really glad that she's also getting more stuff because she's got great comedic timing. And she's one of those actors that like doesn't need to say funny things to be funny. Like she can deliver like regular lines to great effect and you're like rolling. Like with the dinner plate thing. Like it was just like the way she like stops and pauses, like it just like, hold on, did I just remember that I just fucking saw this? And you're just like, that's exactly how that fucking would. It just felt good. Like all of the everybody felt in sync with each other. As far as like cast, the writing was just serious enough to propel itself without Genesee saying like, and without making the movie feel like a joke. And I can actually see this film kind of existing in like its own little fun universe, kind of like in the same way that you kind of see that the film Day Shift wants to do, with a little bit greater effect. I feel here,
yes.
And so I feel like this could be really fun. This was a really fun movie. I loved it.
Yeah, dude, I have to humbly agree with what you guys are saying. This movie is so much fun. I like Genesee said, was pleasantly surprised because there's not a bone in my body that thought this movie was gonna rock as hard as it did at all. Like I was like, sure, like it's gonna be Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage, but nothing else about this movie is gonna be fucking good. But I went into this like actually really thinking it was gonna be bad, and then walked out like, holy shit. Like, holy fuck, dude, we really were laughing for an hour and a half, man. Yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. Nicolas Cage is a shining fucking star in everything he ever touches. And it definitely shines even harder in this movie. You can tell that he's wanted to play Dracula for a really long time. Like you really can't just tell.
He eats it up.
He's got mannerisms that he's just like, you can tell he's had this shit planned in his head. Like if I ever was Dracula, this is the take I would have, and it works so well. Like we've seen so many different variations of Dracula in movies over time, and this is the first time in a while that I've actually seen a Dracula that I was like, yeah, this is believable. Like this is what I would imagine Dracula to be IRL if I ever ran into him, right? And not that I would, but you get my point. But it's also cool to see this in my brain, like coming off of Nicolas Cage in his last vampire movie being Vampire's Kiss. That awful, terrible fucking movie. But kind of just like in my headcanon, imagining that it's his sort of like redemption arc to actually be the vampire he thought he was turning into in Vampire's Kiss. He now actually gets to play as that vampire. And I'm so excited for it. You can tell that this movie was inspired by all vampire movies to some extent or another. Obviously, they use a lot of vampiric mythology in this, as far as the familiars. There's a part in the movie in which Renfield, the doormat, and he goes, "Damn it, damn it!" And I was like, "Oh, they really."
I was like, "Damn, what a loophole!"
Damn, dude, that's so good. Like, what a fucking clever take on like vampiric mythology there. But my caveats for this movie though, because I do have some, right? This movie kind of feels like two different movies in one sometimes. And that was something that gave me a little bit of whiplash, because in one hand we have this story of Renfield trying to escape this narcissistic, abusive, manipulating piece of shit that he's had to serve for 100 years, more than that. And then we have this story about a cop trying to preserve the honor her dad left behind, right? And these two stories, like, don't really mix very well. Like they do, because they're kind of like crammed into this sort of mishmash of like two different parallel like stories that are happening, but they both try to act as A stories, and they're like competing for the A story spot. And so like it feels like there's this struggle, and it only, honest to God, I feel like it only works because the setting of this world feels like Gotham and Batman. Like, like
Yeah.
there's something
A
about
little.
this world that like kind of just owns the fact that it's not taking itself too seriously, which is what this movie does best, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it owns that. But the setting of the story also kind of doesn't take itself too seriously either. But it starts to turn into it takes it from Dark Knight Gotham to animated Batman Gotham very, very quickly. And like in the sense where like the city feels like this super over the top, ridiculous place in which crime happens everywhere. Every cop is crooked. And just like it just feels like the sense of you guys remember my Batman for the Batman review. That was my first movie in which I like honestly finally understood Gotham's city being like an important character in the story.
Being a character, yes.
Yeah, this movie took me back to the times of not understanding that, because this movie like wants so bad to like make the city feel like it's alive, and it doesn't do that because it's so like over the top on some things. Now, granted, I understand too that a lot of that's purposeful to like carry the comedy, like the whole the whole scene of Dracula explaining specifically what kind of people he wants, and Renfield seeing those people at the bar the next day was so fucking hilarious, dude. Things like that I can totally get. But then there's other stuff as far as like the hitman looking like a fucking super villain, and just like little things like that where I was like, fucking why? Like why is this church in the middle of the city feel like a fucking like homeless shelter? What the fuck is going on here? Like, like it just kind of like felt like super daunting for me to take it on. But literally, that's kind of the only real grievance that I have, is just this movie kind of feeling like two different movies. One of those movies I cared about a lot, and that was the Renfield side of things. And the other movie I didn't really give a shit about. But it wasn't bad enough for me to take away from like what I was getting for the movie, because they didn't focus too much on that. They just focused enough that I was like, okay, can we like keep it pushing? Can we get this out of the way here really quickly? And then they did do that, because the entire like final act has nothing to fucking really do with her shit, and that's totally fine. Nicholas Hoult is brilliant in this fucking movie. I also haven't seen him in anything in a really long time. I think Warm Bodies is actually the last thing I saw him in, outside of the last movie he was in with Nicolas Cage, Weatherman, where he plays as Nicolas Cage's son. I think those are kind of the only couple of things I've really seen him in. Awkwafina, I 100% agree with Garrick. I am so glad that she has, historically, she's been a little bit problematic because she kind of uses black flavored comedy to sort of like be her comedy fuel back in the day, and now she's kind of straying away from that. I think she's like listened to sort of like the critical side of people like giving her that feedback, so she's kind of like, all right, fine, if that's not what you want, I can move away from that. But her comedy in this is very gold to like what she is as a comedian. Like there's the scene where she's talking to her sister and she walks away but keeps turning around because she thinks her sister's gonna turn around to talk more. Like shit,
like trying to make like a moment, you're like, no, okay.
She does that extremely well in this movie, and I loved every single bit of it. But yeah, dude, Nicolas Cage's Dracula really is sort of the centerpiece of all of this, and he carries this, him and Nicholas Hoult carry this movie on their backs so fucking well. This is such a fun vampire story, and as vampire fans between all three of us, this was a really cool take. It was a really, really cool take on a vampire story. And again, I am very, very happy that we got to experience this, because it's been a while since we've gotten a good horror comedy. It's been even longer since we've gotten a good vampire comedy, because like that doesn't really happen very often, weirdly enough.
Yeah, not to be, or it'll happen, but it won't be good or like successful.
Or it won't be on purpose. Like
Twilight,
or
it'll be like it'll be a joke. You're just like, yeah.
Twilight's fucking hilarious.
Fucking yikes.
Best vampire comedy I've ever seen. You know what I'm saying?
You know, if you haven't watched Twilight as an adult, you really should, because
Oh, I have.
Oh, thank you.
I have.
I can't.
It's not a good time. It's not a good time. When that baby,
it's so funny.
From when that baby's born and going forward, I was like, oh God,
that's
stop.
terrible.
Like,
That part's
the
awful.
baby looks awful, man.
Yeah.
Like,
That was awful. But no, but like watching the first one, especially, I was like, nobody gives them enough credit for what good actors they were to act with their whole chest to this terrible movie.
Dude, the fucking going back and watching Twilight, and then literally from the jump, right? The scene where Bella walks into because fucking that part of the movie is filmed in my high school. God damn it, man! I fucking hate that so much. It's like the only thing I can brag about. But they walked into my English, my senior English classroom with my science classroom's desks in there, and she walks in, and Edward's like. I'm like, you fucking disgusting asshole. Can you just hurry up and get to the Batman, you motherfucker? Yeah, dude. I'm glad that this movie did something because vampire comedy is something that like works so well. I mean, like Night Shift is kind of the only one that really glimpses that. But as a Netflix movie that didn't really market itself very well, it went completely under the scope. We loved it. I know me and Garrick, we
I liked it a lot, yeah.
I don't think I've even watched that one.
It's fun. It's Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is a vampire hunter.
Okay.
And yeah, it's literally like this kind of like aspect of like a action vampire comedy. And so like it's,
but he's like a vampire hunter for like a John Wickian
like
corporation
vampire hunter world sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's a cool story, but we don't get very often, and when we do, they're not good. And so it was nice to get a breath of fresh air of like this story of like just straight up Dracula being played by the fucking god Nicolas Cage, who's just nailing it the entire goddamn movie. He's a little late.
He showed up for this one. He really did.
Yeah, you like I said, you can tell
he,
that
he very much took this role very seriously. He was committed, and he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
They all showed up. Like it was, I think, like they were a perfect storm together. Like they all of the main three characters complemented each other so well.
Well, and like me and Genesee were kind of like murmuring it in the theater, but like Nicholas Hoult played such a cute character in this movie that just like every single you just feel like you're watching this little boy trying to like escape from his abusive father, and just like the way that he like handled Renfield as a character is just so brilliant across the board, because they just make him this little tiny innocent thing that just wants so badly to be good. He wants it so badly, and me and Genesee the entire like, oh my god, he's so cute. And I think I heard Genesee say it really loud at one point. She's like, it's so cute. Like,
it was his apartment.
The apartment.
His apartment matched his sweater.
Oh my god, for real.
His sweater. I wanted that sweater. Oh my god. The other costuming. Let's talk about the costuming.
He just wanted a little color in his life.
He really did.
Oh, my camera did that fucking thing again.
Go, dude.
What a fucking face to freeze on.
Brilliant face. I don't know what you're talking
about. For Nicholas Hoult, we get it.
Yeah, we can do that. But also, speaking of which, have a word from our sponsors. This piece of good Kraken content is brought to you by Glide mousepads. The world is changing, and the demand for PC gaming and work from home setups has never been as wild as it is right now. Having the best of the best in PC accessories only makes it easier to get your work done before you jump right back in to the fray of the digital sea. And Glide knows exactly how to make that happen for you. Glide Mousepads is the future industry leader in mousepads, offering beautiful, smooth, waterproof products made with eco-friendly materials and non-slip rubber in a variety of sizes that are guaranteed to help you get that next win. I've got one of these bad boys in my office at work. I've got one here at my desk right now. Devin's got one. Xander's got one. This bad boy is silky smooth, silkier and smoothier than even the silkiest of smoothies or soy milk or what have you. You can go to glidemousepads.com right now and use code Kraken for 15% off the Founders Edition mousepad in every size available. Again, that's code KRAKEN, Kraken, for 15% off any Founders Edition mousepad today. Our next sponsor is Rogue Energy. Late nights are pretty much commonplace for all content creators, and anyone here at GK can attest that late nights are kind of our only nights. Luckily for us, though, Rogue has figured out exactly how to give those late nights and even earlier mornings the supercharge that we all need. Rogue Energy is a low-calorie, no-sugar energy formula that is the perfect alternative to sugar-filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Every formula Rogue Energy produces is designed with optimal levels of high-quality ingredients and no chalky textures. Again, we don't want that. We don't want that. Being the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, Rogue Energy strives to improve the in-game performance of gamers, streamers, and content creators around the world. Now, I know that we've been riding this train for a long time. You might be tired of us talking about this. You might not be tired of us. You might want to just support us anyways. And you know what? For those that do support us, we love you. But the best way to support us right now is to grab yourself a big old cup of Joe. When I say Joe, I mean this Rogue Energy stuff. I'm usually waking up first thing in the morning with a big old shit to get a big old shit going. Oh, wow. You grab your Rogue Energy cup. Okay, you dip that bad, you just scoop that bad boy right on there. You give that bad boy a shaky dakey, you know what I'm saying? And then you're out the dang door, okay? You need this beverage in your life. I cannot express that enough. You can head on over to rogueenergy.com and use code GKRAKEN for 10% off any purchase of shaker or formula tub of your choosing. That's GKRAKEN for 10% off any shaker or formula tub that you would like. Now, back to the episode. And we are back, guys. So let's go ahead and dive into some kind of just general questions here. All right. So we got our thoughts in, and I want to get a chance to ask you guys here. The Nicolas Cage as Dracula obviously was something that we really, really loved in this movie. Like, he was just fucking incredible in this. Do we feel like Nicolas Cage as Dracula was like the selling point for Nicholas Hoult to do as well as he did? Or did Nicholas Hoult and like Nicolas Cage just kind of throw it down just raw? Like, how, like, do we think that they like had to support each other in this? Or like, what do you guys think?
So Nicholas Hoult, he's been in quite a few interesting roles. I mean, he was Beast in X-Men, right? Mm-hmm. Days of Future Past.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, and X-Men First Class. And he also he was in Warm Bodies, which the nature of that role is just kind of weird in and of itself. He was playing like a sentient zombie, essentially, or like a zombie that's like re-becoming human in a way. And so like he's played some weird roles, and so I think he's got some interesting chops that he just hasn't had the opportunity to really flex yet, because I feel like he's quite young, if I recall, or he looks very young at the very least.
Let's find out.
But I with Nicolas Cage always wanted to play the role. I feel like he showed up ready, and I feel like Nicholas Hoult I feel like this was just a character that was very much like in his wheelhouse.
Nicholas Hoult is 33.
He was born 6 days before Taylor Swift. In case you were wondering.
I was. Yeah.
So, I still don't know when his birthday is from that, but thank you.
December 7th, 1989, obviously.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so he's like our fucking age. Like, he's really not. That is plenty of time to develop hella chops. Because like there are some actors that didn't start until like way fucking later and have great careers. Mm-hmm. Looking at you, Morgan Freeman, he didn't start until he was like 68.
Morgan Freeman, Bruce Willis, like with the list goes on, baby.
It just goes on and on. Like, he's got plenty of time to develop, I think, a really good career. One thing I would be really curious about this film, and I don't know if it's been published or not, is I wonder if he did his own choreography or stunt work in this, or if he did have a stunt person, because I feel like if he did do his own stunts, that would open him up to quite a few interesting roles in the future, especially because we've gotten like the Hitman-esque sort of video of films that have been like Nobody, where like the characters aren't necessarily like badass or threatening, but they're capable of badass threatening shit.
Yeah.
And I think if he can develop like that physical acting part of his career, he could do awesome stuff.
He could. Yeah, absolutely he could. Genesis, how do you feel? Do you think Nicholas Holt carried himself well in this? Like, what would you feel like he could do better in the future
I
too?
I think he carried this movie so well. His role so well. I think that he and Nick Cage had really excellent chemistry for what they needed to do. I mean, just like seeing the way that they interacted together and the way that Nicolas Cage like really passed that like conviction. Like his Dracula had so much conviction for everything that he did, and Nicholas Holt's character lacked that a lot, right? He was swaying like all over the place, and he had this idea of who he wanted to be and just didn't know how to get there for like centuries, or at least decades. And I thought that was really powerful to see how they played off each other in that respect. And I think that if Nicholas Holt had been weak in that for a second, it wouldn't have played well on the screen like it did. He had to be at an absolute 10 to make that pass. Like, I don't think any, like, because we've seen Nick Cage in so many things and we know he can do comedy really well, I don't think there was any doubt that Nick Cage was going to do this role well. Um, Nick Holt, like, I think something that's really unique about Nicholas Holt is that he shows up well. I don't think I've seen anything in him with him in it that he doesn't do well, but everything is like different enough, like but also similar. Like I don't know, like but sometimes he's more timid, or sometimes he's more like kind of fun and playful, but like you never really know what you're gonna get, and I think that can make him really easy to look over.
Yes, Garrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as following your previous comment, like he plays some interesting roles. I was like looking at his IMDb, like he was in The Menu, which was a film from last year.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
love that movie.
And he was in a little bit more recently. He was in Mad Max Fury Road. He was he didn't look like himself in that role.
Yeah.
He definitely had some a lot of makeup and stuff on. But like, yeah, he's been in some interesting stuff. He's got like a hidden range that like, I think he's just flexed more of his range through bit parts than through main casting so far.
It also kind of just feels like the movies that he is in, that he's playing sort of a main character, are movies and like content that just don't support him enough. Like, he kills it every single time, but everything else around him is just kind of like, yeah, sure. But when he's in a supporting role, it's typically in a like massive like blockbuster movie, and he nails it because the rest of the movie fucking nails it too. And so he feels like he fits that bill. Like, him playing Beast in like the X-Men movies is so good because he imbues that like young Beast character, that like timid, like like I'm a mutant but I don't feel safe here, and he nails it in roles like that. And like, him getting very loosely typecasted as like the sort of shy, innocent, boy, basically, works for him. But I think that there's something in him that we could like really, really get like something great out of him in the next like 10 years, honestly. And like, I think this movie showed that. Yes, Garrick.
I'm researching as we're talking. This is going well. So I actually don't even think we're gonna have to wait 10 years. There is an upcoming reboot or a recreation of the original Nosferatu film, which he will be starring as a character by the name of Thomas Hutter. And this is set to be a dark gothic, American gothic horror film. So I think the chops are a coming. It's not. This one doesn't have a release date yet, but I think your next 10 years projection's not all that far off. Because he's actually, interestingly enough, he's voicing John Arbuckle in the upcoming Garfield movie too.
Good for him. I'm glad he gets his lasagna on. You know what I'm saying? That's great, dude. I really can see him like being a like driving force in acting in the next like 10 years, because like he does a really good job of playing so many different types of characters for someone that gets typecasted really frequently, and like it works for him because he feels charming. he feels so charming in a majority of his roles, and I really think that he'll be something great within the next decade, and we'll start seeing him in like even bigger movies more frequently. Even like after seeing this, I can see him doing stuff that is like espionage and like a serious role, like things like that I think would be really fun for him. But also it sounds like him and or his agents really like him being in high fantasy shit, which is fucking rad. That's so rad,
I'm
dude.
here for it.
Yeah, I'm 100% here for that. So my next question for you guys here is, earlier on I talked about like the city feeling so weird and like uncomfortable in some places, but the level of like campiness that Genesaw mentioned earlier kind of makes this movie like the sort of comedy that it is, and sort of sets us up for that. Do you guys have like a certain moment of this movie that you were like, oh yeah, like this movie's fucking it? Like what moment, and again, the spoiler free, so don't say too much, but what moment for you was the one that you were like, yeah, I'm here for this, right?
I'm trying to. I'm like even though I just saw it, it was like whirlwind because it's a pretty fast paced little film actually.
It is. The hour and a half goes by really quick. It
uses its time really well.
So for me, it was
just like, yeah, this is it.
For me, it was the very fucking God. It was so good. When they're doing counseling at the beginning of the movie, and the lady's like, "Oh God," and the ska music that he listens to, and they have an entire conversation about ska. And then when we meet him, there's ska playing, and he's like, "No, that was the best part." Oh God.
Yeah, that was a fucking good one, dude. Honestly, everybody in the support group was fucking great.
Bob was fucking killing me, dude.
I love Bob.
Bob was fucking great, man.
I wanted Bob and Renfield to get together so bad. Like, they don't even have to date. I just want them to like be roommates or something.
Yeah. Oh my God, I want that movie.
Well, I followed Bob here because I thought he'd be a good friend. Yes, thank you, Bob.
Well, and
You're welcome.
just like Nicolas Cage's brand of comedy in this movie with Dracula was fucking magnificent, dude. Like his little moments where he's like, and then I'll eat your friends, ooh, like little things like that, or like when he's like talking about like wanting to do something extra bad or whatever, like in his little like, hospital place or whatever, and like it shows like Dracula and Renfield. There's a little post-it note that says and Renfield.
And Renfield.
For me, I think the part that I found funniest was like the weird like culmination of like, I don't even know how to say it, but like camera styles and like they did some weird stuff with like, because they went in between, like when they did the flashbacks, they showed it in like an old timey like,
or it went to full screen.
Yeah, it like got smaller, and like they did other things where it like went to like, not like cartoon, but like it changed. Like you were no longer in the scene. You were like watching something else, but you were still in the scene. Like it was so cool, and it was so comedic. Like it wasn't just funny, but it was like really it set the tone for that like really strong backbone of comedy that movie had.
Because go ahead.
Oh yeah, and like when he got his own apartment like that, that was so funny to me. It was so cute. It was like Girlfriend's era like makeover, like oh, it's so
changed
cute.
His life. Yeah, dude. No, I feel like this movie services itself by serving vampire fans specifically, because this doesn't just feel like a throwaway vampire movie. Like it feels like a comedy that was made for people that specifically like vampire content. And they use that so well, right? Because they talk about like the doormat thing, or like the like being a familiar and what that means for a familiar, right? And like those are all things that like we historically know from movies like Blade, like Nosferatu, from Bram Stoker's Dracula, like Interview with a Vampire. Like there's so many little tiny details that we know about vampires just because of media that we've seen with vampires that they use in this movie so cleverly. I think that's the word. That like makes it feel like it was just made for us vampire movie fans, and like I like because of such that kind of like took me to another place where I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a theater with a bunch of vampire fans right now, and this movie's working for every single one of us because we just understand how vampires function in a movie. Like they didn't need to set up the rules because we already know the rules. Right? It's not like Blade where they had to like give us a very specific type of vampire and like this is how they handle their familiars and they have this entire occult, society and stuff like that. We were able to just dive into this because they knew, okay, we're just going to use what everybody knows about vampires and just lean really, really heavy into that, right? And it was brilliant. It was fucking brilliant. But I don't know if any other movie will ever be able to deliver vampire comedy in the way that this did, to be completely honest. Like, I think this movie might have like done something on that level. I don't know if that gives it more points for me because of such, but I think generally speaking, like, it's hard to do good vampire comedy. It's hard. That's really, really funny. It's hard enough to do horror comedy in a way that's actually going to like stick with people. I mean, like we were lucky that we ever got Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Like we ever got lucky with that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like this movie did a lot for like that space specifically. Kind of like the way that Shaun of the Dead did it for zombie fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where it's just
definitely
it's timeless.
It uses all of the tropes that have been like the long running tropes and mythos that have existed around vampires, and it touches on them in like comedic ways because like a lot of these things were they have histories that are ancient. And like when you bring that into a modern world, it looks fucking weird. Point in case is the doormat. That was I fucking laughed so hard at that shit.
So
I was just like, because it probably would work. Because like something tells me they'd be like that counts. That counts.
Exactly.
Right?
It says it
Because
right
because guess fucking what? Like when that mythos was created, like that shit wasn't around. Like it was a funny adaptation to the modern world. And I think they touch point like on that sort of thing a lot. It really does take the tropes and they're just like, we're going to like use the tropes in a funny yet loving way. And as I've been thinking, honestly, like it was about halfway. I was loving it like pretty much front to back, but there was a moment about halfway through the movie where there's like a big climactic fight scene and
Yeah.
And they're standing at like the bottom of this apartment complex, and he like reaches his hand out essentially, right? He like brings her down, and he's just like, like when you're talking to everybody, and everyone just like after you've seen some horrible shit, they're like, yeah, it's fine. I've seen way worse. Yours is everything you just did here today is gonna be my way worse. Like that was my moment. I was just like, yeah, you're gonna hang on to that shit.
Yeah, that's some trauma if we've ever seen one, dude. Yeah, man.
But like no, there were just some really really funny lines, like just like great one-liners like that. I think most of them that actually really like made me laugh were from like they gave me like the big chuckles were from Aquafina this time.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, and the thing is too is like the gore of this movie, which was excessive, was so Robert Kirkman wrote this movie, and you can tell
every bit of blood he didn't get to put in The Walking Dead, he just shoved it in here.
Yeah, like this feels like a sort of like he wanted to make the gore and fucked upness of Invincible come to life. And so he just put it in a live action vampire movie. And there's some egregious levels of gore in this movie that are that again, don't take itself too seriously because you can tell it's fake. Like it is like egregiously fake as fuck. Like he rips off a dude's arms and then uses them as spears to spear two other guys. Like just like shit like that. That's just so over the top fucking ridiculous that just like but the gore kind of uses itself as a comedy piece too, because like there's a moment near the end of the movie that happens where like someone gets kicked and their entire insides
Oh my god!
Get Mortal Kombat X-rayed.
Like,
yes,
so fucking good, dude.
That's exactly what they did. They fucking Mortal Kombat X-rayed his ass.
Yep, yeah, dude. It was the gore also has some comedy too. So like that, like all the action set pieces didn't feel like they took themselves too seriously either. But the choreography was still really good. It's still really fucking good. Like choreography was like rad for a vampire movie. Like the spinning table flip over the throw that he did.
Yeah. Like that was like I liked that. I was like that was a really well shot, and like the way the camera like rotated with him as he went over it was a cool scene.
Every fight scene was at 100.
Yeah.
They just went. They're like, well, fuck this. This shit's supernatural. Let's go. And then they took it there.
Yeah, they just owned it. I mean, like how Aquafina like knew how to fucking defend herself that well is beyond me. You don't learn that shit in cop school. I don't know where the fuck she learned it, but they just like
that motherfucker can fly.
they own the shit out of it so well, and it works. It fucking works, man. The action set pieces in this movie are just as rad. So I'm not gonna carry us on any longer here. I think now is about a good time for us to kind of get into our final details here. So Genesaw, let's go to you. Should people see this right away, and what is your score?
Yeah, and honestly, I'd give this a 10 out of 10. Like I can't remember like being this hype about a movie in a while.
Oh, Genesee hasn't given a 10 here in a while, guys. Holy shit.
For Renfield, she ate it up. Loved it. Wow, that's impressive.
Holy shit. Okay, Genesaw. So people should see it right away?
Yeah, you should see it right away. You should see it more than once. You should get this shit on DVD. It's fucking amazing. This is going to be the movie that, like, when family visits out of town and I don't know what to show them because I only watch gay shit and, like, they only watch, like, I don't even know what they watch. This is going to be the movie I show them.
Yeah, you're going to be...
I only watch gay shit.
I'm literally just imagining, like, she's got her family over and she's got, like, her personal collection of DVDs, and then just, like, under her, like, right next to the DVD in, like, a break in case of emergency, it's, like, the one non-gay DVD in the house.
She's got it between like
but to break it open, you have to use a very gay little hammer.
She's got it between like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and like Spanglish. It's just like
in case of family emergency, play Renfield.
It used to be Baby Mama. And
oh god.
Okay, in my defense, that movie slaps.
I love you so much. Oh, we're so gay. I love it. Genesaw gives us a 10 out of 10. Garrick, let's move to you, my friend. Should people see this right away? And what is your score of Renfield?
Yeah, I think if you are a fan of horror films, if you like comedy, especially if you like horror comedy, if you've ever seen Shaun of the Dead, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Warm Bodies, the list goes on. Any of those like well-written like comedy horrors that use those tropes that you know and love to great effect. Everybody was very, very well cast in this movie. There's just a couple of things where like I would agree with Ornell. There's some like odd tonal things where you're just like, that felt a touch out of place here with what you're doing over here. I get why, because you're also doing this down here, but this is still the big. And so like every once in a while you're just like, you feel like you're trying to force the pieces to come a little closer together while you're watching. But everything is so well done and over the top and funny that it really doesn't hurt itself too much at the end. I give this one an 8 out of 10.
All right, I like it. I like it. Yeah, no, 100% agree. I think that people, if you are a horror fan movie, if you are a comedy, not horror fan movie, if you are a horror movie fan and or a comedy movie fan, I think this movie was made for you. It was made for us that do genuinely enjoy horror comedies. More specifically, I think this movie was made for vampire fans of any kind. To be completely honest, if you have been feeling a little empty inside with vampire content, this is not going to tug you away from that. If you are a Nicolas Cage fan, see this fucking movie. This is Nicolas Cage just untethered, unbound, unabashedly himself, and he gets to just play this character that you can tell he's been wanting to play for so fucking long, because he is Dracula, bro. Like in this movie, he's fucking Dracula. Everything that you could possibly imagine about Dracula is him in this fucking movie. And just generally speaking, like this movie is just a lot of fun, regardless of the little tiny like issues that I had with it, and it's like multiple stories kind of like clashing together. I do feel like this movie is watchable, and even more so, I feel like it is mostly watchable in a theater setting. Allow yourself to have some fun, especially with the people around you, the people that were sitting behind us, the people that are sitting next to us, people that sat in front of us, all made this even more fun of an experience, because all of us were willing to just crack the fuck up with each other, and this movie did so well at allowing us to feel like we could do that. Yeah, this movie is going to be an 8 out of 10 for me as well, so that puts us at I'd probably say a 9 out of 10 is what we have ratio-wise between the three of us. So guys, 9 out of 10 for Renfield from 2023. Please go see this movie. It's a lot of fun. You guys are going to enjoy yourselves. I'm excited that the three of us got to talk about this, because I kind of felt like the three of us were going to be the ones that were like, oh yeah, this is it. You know what I'm saying? I kind of had a gut
because we're the
feeling.
ones with taste.
Yes, yeah. We're the classy ones. You know what I mean? Devin can't translate camp, so he
But say Devin would have hated it.
Yeah, he would have fucking thought it was so stupid. What do you mean you can flip a table? You know what I'm saying? Fuck you, Devin. Love you, buddy. I love you, Devin. Guys, let's talk our schedule for next week here. So on Tuesday, we have another Good Kraken podcast. We're going to be talking, is there still space for retro games? Mega Man Battle Network Collection just came out recently. It had us thinking, man, are we going to keep doing this? You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about retro games and where that fits into our 30-year-old bodies. You know what I'm saying? But then next Wednesday, we have the Shipwreck Show live. We're doing that next Wednesday instead of Thursday. Please come and hang out with that. If you are in our Discord and you're also a Twitch subscriber, we have a little section there called the Shipwreck Submissions channel, where you are able to ask us any question your little tiny beautiful brain could possibly think of, and we try to pick the questions that we think will make for the best content, and we answer your questions live on the Shipwreck Show. So please go in right in there, give us all your beautiful juicy questions that you think that we can just make fools of ourselves with, and we will absolutely make that content for you guys. So next Thursday we're not doing any content because we're getting prepared for another episode for that Saturday. We will not be here, so please guys, enjoy your Thursday night. Think of us, pour one out for a homie. You know what I'm saying?
Not dead. Take a day off.
We were not dead. We pretend we're dead on Thursday. And then Friday, we are doing another Splash Damage multiplayer gameplay stream where me and Devin and I think Garrick
For Dead Island 2?
are playing Dead Island 2, baby. We will be there. It'll be a lot of fun. Oh, God. This game's going to be fucking tight, dude. I'm so excited. All that content in that part of the week is going to be 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. But then Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, we will be doing Good Kraken podcast, Evil Dead Rise review. So please come and hang out with us. It's going to be another good one. And goddamn, I'm excited for that fucking movie, man. For anyone who knows me, you know that I'm a fucking massive Evil Dead fan. 2013 Evil Dead is my fucking jam. Dude, love that goddamn movie. I gotta shit and piss and throw up in my own mouth during this movie the entire time. All 2 hours. It's actually going to happen in rotation. I'm going to piss, I'm gonna shit, I'm gonna puke, and then I'm gonna shit, and then I'm gonna puke, and then piss. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen in cycles. It's gonna be great. It's a weird diaper and have like a trash bin taped to my chest. Anyways, guys, please let us know what you thought of Renfield. If you got a chance to watch it already, please let us know if you guys think we're fools for giving it a 9 out of 10. But most of all, tell us how much you. Please don't sus. I'll try. I'll be there. He doesn't want me
And
shitting
that's why
next
I'm
to him.
not going to the movie.
Are you sure that's it? Are you sure that's why? Or is it because there's no Taylor
No, it's
Swift? on
because
the
of the fucking tree.
soundtrack? You will,
It's because of the cheese grater, but also that.
are you telling me Taylor Swift isn't on the OST for that movie?
Even you had Taylor Swift on their soundtrack. Okay, so fucking fight me in their latest season.
Yeah,
that
they
bitch was
did.
on
They
it.
did. They really, really did. It was like the only good song of that season, anyways. Guys, please let us know your thoughts of Renfield below. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear from you on Discord, on Twitter. Tell us all the thoughts, because in the meantime, this has been the Good Kraken Podcast, your choice for all the nerdy video game and pop media news, reviews, and discussions that you wanted to hear, live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. right here at twitch.tv/Good Kraken Show. If you enjoyed the show, you can head on over our Discord channel where you can submit questions and topics and show. Get exclusive post-show content. And have early access episodes before they go live on podcasts and video services across the digital sea. You can also support us by going to our YouTube channel, clicking that beautiful bell and big red button, or by subscribing to our podcast channel by searching Good Kraken with an exclamation mark and leaving a review there. We gotta get going on out of here, everybody. But until next time, my friends.
Fuck you, Kyle.